Well, good morning to you folks out in Reno and out on the West Coast, and good afternoon to those of you who are tuning in from the East Coast. As Eddie mentioned, I'm Brad Snyder, and I'm filling in for Nathan Krekula, who will be out of town for the next few weeks, and I am very excited to take this opportunity to host Positive Spin, a radio show where anything's possible, and we really look to find stories of inspirational nature so we can focus on ways to keep a positive outlook as we go through our pursuit of happiness and look to mitigate our little bouts of adversity each day, whether it's bad weather or a traffic jam or whatnot. I'm looking forward to sharing my story with you today, kind of to help introduce myself so you guys can get to know me a little bit better as I get to step in for Nathan over the next few weeks. If you guys remember Positive Spin a few weeks ago, Nathan had me on as his guest. And during the commercial break, we tossed around the idea of me stepping in for him, and very, very excited to make a radio show debut. So just to get started, I figured I'd share my background, tell my story a little bit, rehash it in a little greater detail. For those of you who've already heard it, I apologize, but I figured I'd start at the beginning. And funny enough, I was actually born in the Reno area. Didn't spend very much time there, but left pretty early and decided to pursue a naval career back in 2002, coming out of high school, and had the opportunity to go to the Naval Academy in 2002 to 2006, where I very quickly realized that I wasn't going to be an A student. The curriculum there is very, very difficult, and very quickly realized that I didn't necessarily have the aptitude or the ability to balance my time well enough to get good grades. But that being said, was able to distinguish myself as an athlete, had the opportunity to swim for 4 years there by the Severn, and participated in what's now, I think, one of the longest streaks between the Naval Academy and West Point of victory on the Navy side. I think it's been 27 years in a row that the Naval Academy swim team has beat the Army cadets, and I had my opportunity to swim in those 4 years. And so through my time of swimming, I really found I found a lot of comfort in the pool and in the water as my way of distinguishing myself, and looked to find a career where I could continue to spend as much time in the water as possible. And what's ironic about the Navy is even whether you're on a ship or a sub or in an aircraft, you actually spend very little time actually in the water. And I wanted to find an avenue where I could, and there were two communities that kind of were going to offer me that opportunity, and that was the Naval EOD community, which is the Explosive Ordnance Disposal community, or potentially pursuing a career as a SEAL. I spent a good amount of time kind of deliberating between the two of them, and in 2006 elected to pursue a career in explosive ordnance disposal. I was very attracted to the problem-solving nature of rendering a very potentially explosive situation safe. The career was started around World War II, where there was a dud bomb that landed in the yard of a hospital, and a bunch of British Royal Marines and Royal Army guys were looking at that dudded bomb and deciding what they were supposed to do about it. And they decided that the explosive ordnance disposal community had a place in their heart, and they figured out how to start it. And as they were our allies, we emulated them and developed our own bomb disposal school, during World War II. And so I had the opportunity to join their ranks. I deployed twice, once to Iraq and once to Afghanistan, and unfortunately, towards the tail end of my Afghanistan deployment, I was injured when I failed to identify an improvised explosive device in the ground, and it went off, severely lacerating and burning my face, unfortunately taking my vision. That day, we were training some Afghan commandos on how to execute assault operations in the Kandahar area with the goal of mitigating the influence and the operations of the Taliban. And two of our Afghan soldiers stepped on an improvised explosive device at the front of the patrol. Myself and my counterparts were trying to render first aid and mitigate the casualties and get them evacuated to a safe area. And while doing that, I stepped on a secondary that was located very close to the original blast site. Originally, I actually could still see out of my eye, and I remember looking down and seeing that I had both of my legs and both of my arms, and initially, thought that I might have been killed by the accident. And then, because of the fact that I still had all of my limbs, it was very shocking to me. I'd seen a lot of injuries before that, and to see that I had 90% of my body still attached, I was pretty blown away, no pun intended, and was originally able to take a very positive outlook on the situation. I knew that I had been very badly hurt, but seeing that I had all of my limbs and seeing that I was going to be okay really gave me a lot of confidence. Actually, with the help of my teammates, was able to stand up and walk away from the accident. Was able to walk onto the helicopter that took me to the hospital, and from there began what was a bit of an arduous battle back to recovery.